Hey all, welcome to ShareTreck. This is Raj here. Friends, this is a geopolitics video which is focused on what's going to happen to the markets in 2024. Or retail investors, what are they going to expect to face? So if you're not interested in geopolitics, you can skip this one. But according to a chart from Ernst & Young, the corporates have not been paying as much attention to geopolitics as the developments require. I'll be talking about those things. I'll talk about specific geopolitical risks and how it's going to affect the retail investor. And we'll be looking at the risks that we are carrying forward from 2023 to 2024 and what the outcome is going to be in 2024, the possibilities. So with that said, let's get started. Welcome back, friends. Today I want to talk about the geopolitical risks that we need to keep in mind while we invest in 2024. It's unbelievable, but the corporate sector is not paying as much attention to these geopolitical risks as they should. If you look at the chart here from Ernst & Young, you can see the concept visualized using 3-month GDP weighted average of political risk, and the weightage is based on GDP. So countries with smaller GDP do not make much of a blip here. It's the bigger countries that make a difference. And the notion is that the established order is under stress, and the independent states like India, South Africa, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Brazil may align to any bloc on a transactional basis, and this could cause great uncertainty in geopolitics going forward in 2024. On top of this, 2024 will have elections in India and USA, and if you were to look at the population of India and USA and their GDP, it's estimated that around 54% of global population are going to be going through an election, and 60% of the global GDP is going to go through an election. So there's huge stakes out there, and the results of this election can change the policies and can impact businesses. Remember the trade wars and NAFTA renegotiation during the Trump presidency? They did cause a serious blip. And something similar could also come up as a result of these elections. And from 2023, we are carrying forward the Russia-Ukraine conflict that has a bearing on wheat and edible oil. Europe has stocked adequate gas for the winter, according to various reports, but food inflation is a real possibility because Russia and Ukraine are both huge wheat producers. So wheat goes into making pasta, bread, bakeries, and all those kind of things. So wheat is an important staple, and that's going to be a problem potentially. Also, another area of risk is rare earth materials that China has in plenty. And with the US putting restrictions on technology to China, one could potentially see China retaliating with embargo on rare earth minerals export. And that could potentially hit various manufacturing processes across the globe. And another carry forward from 2023 is the Israel-Palestine conflict. This is having an impact on the US presidential elections, as news reports suggest that many Muslims in the US are inclined to oppose Biden for his support to Israel. However, at present, if you were to look at the percentage of Muslim population state by state, the most they have is around 2%. I think that's in New York. Apart from that, most of the states, they are just 1% of the population. However, in swing states where the margin is very less, this could have an impact for President Biden in his effort to get re-elected. And I think at this point of time, probably the Democrats are also biting their nail, and everybody is in tenterhooks because of the way the 2024 election is unfolding. Another risk we are also carrying forward from 2023, this is a very recent development. Of course, the Houthi rebels have been fighting for a while, and there was war. It's a proxy for Iran. And they have now started disrupting shipping lines in the Red Sea. The Houthi rebels, and any stress to the supply chains can reinitiate a supply side inflation. And at this stage of normalizing the economy, this is the last thing the market needs. The US has acted very quickly and has started monitoring the region and providing some cover. And meanwhile, quite a few companies have started routing their shipping around the South African coast. thereby avoiding the Red Sea. So this increases the duration taken. So it's going to be indirectly a little bit inflationary. But as long as the supply chain continues, those things can be sorted out over a period of time. Another risk from 2023 is a potential Trump presidency, which can have global implication. If, as Trump promised, he takes US into dictatorship and pulls US out of NATO, that's a whole big topic on its own. And I think the courts are now starting to step in to prevent this eventuality. But after wasting 3 years, now they are trying to sprint to the finish and catch up lost ground, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to make it in time. Looking forward, the risk in 2024 will involve the adoption of AI. There will be many use cases in various industries that would lead to AI being trained and deployed into many roles, and may see employees displaced and needing to learn new complementary skills to stay on top. This would also mean that many companies in different industry will see improved productivity and bottom line as a result of deploying AI assets. This can lead to higher multiples for indices. Conversely, those competitors that do not adopt to AI will be wiped out. And the same thing applies to various countries also, because any early adopting country would be able to gain an advantage in the international markets. And we have to watch countries like UAE and India, who are also trying to invest in AI. Of course, China is also doing the same. So we'll have to see how AI turns out in those countries and how use cases are developed and how much better they are. So it's a global issue, and it's going to change the established order, and it's going to come out with new winners and new losers. That's the risk factor I'm talking about. And there'll be a lot of litigation around AI and its training material, as news, publishing, and creative industry will fight to safeguard their existence. With AI specializing in art, music, poetry, prose, essay, and analysis, there is going to be a lot of professional bodies that will want to reposition their terms of engagement through litigation in order to get residual income on the use of their work, and also a futile effort to safeguard areas of work that they don't want AI to enter. I'm just giving you some examples based on my imagination. There are chartered accountants around the world. Chartered accountancy is a body of knowledge that people study, give an exam, they get cleared, and then they proceed to do audits, they proceed to do accounting. AI is very well capable of digesting the knowledge and being able to do most of the things that they do, the chartered accountants do. Or for that matter, AI can compose music, AI can write an essay, AI can read a lot of scientific paper and publish a synopsis and learn from it and draw experiences. For example, in Canada, because of the heavy load on doctors, the pharmacists are now allowed to prescribe a certain range of medications for certain indications. And this has been done to relieve the pressure on the family physicians. Now, if you have AI capable of learning all these information, then AI would be able to do a telemedicine kind of work, and as a result of which there could be a lot of displacement. I'm just thinking out loud on how the industry will push forward with the technology, and various use cases will develop. And there'll be winner companies and there'll be loser companies. There'll be winner professions and there'll be loser professions. And of course, just like we used to have a whole lot of typists and we don't have them anymore, instead everybody's typing into their computer. And now people are actually speaking into their computer and the computer types it up. So those kind of changes have come in, and people have gone to a higher level of productivity, doing work which is higher up in the chain, and all the mundane tasks are gone. Something similar is expected to happen with AI, but we have to wait and see how people will find jobs and occupations in order to put bread and butter on the table, especially if they are actors, for example, because the actor's persona can be created. AI can create a totally fictitious actor and actresses, and using them, movies can be made, and companies can own the persona, the AI persona, and instead of real life actors, the AI personas will be getting contracts and they would act. And all of those things are likely to happen going forward into the future. So we are going to see many of these things start germinate in 2024. And we'll get to watch them carefully so that we do not invest in companies that are not agile and that are not taking best advantage and looking at all the risk and benefit and taking the right moves. So I think the CEOs have to be very much sharp and up on their game in order to preserve the valuation of the company. Looking forward in 2024, China is going to experience a diminishing economy while India and Vietnam may vie for investment. India entered the global stock market, top five global stock markets by valuation earlier this month, and the Indian rupee has already been among the top 5 currency in the world for quite a while by popularity. And so that is a very big aspect that we have to keep in mind, because the general elections of 2024 in India seems to indicate that the ruling party is predestined to win, because they won 2 states in the recent election, and there is an overwhelming feeling that they are going to win. A resounding third term for the ruling dispensation would mean continuation of current policies, political stability, and a focus on structural reforms and infrastructure building. With a target of being a multi-trillion dollar economy, India is now attracting international interest from wealthy family offices and foreign institutional investors. India would be contending to cement its position to represent the global south and angle for a permanent seat in the UN Security Council, as it now represents a big economy and over 20% of world population. Looking forward to 2024, one can see that China-Taiwan tension escalating. If Biden wins the next election, the US and its allies will be in a stronger footing to re-establish the status quo and push back Russia and resolve the current Middle East conflict and prevent the China-Taiwan conflict from escalating to a war. European Union will continue to face the refugee crisis, and that in turn would feed the domestic right-wing agenda within European Union. Turning to science and technology, the gene therapy market will face 2 potential risks, and this would happen in 2024 and beyond. So it's not going to be very time-bound. It's very difficult to predict when this risk is going to manifest. The first risk will be an effort by the government to initiate price control on gene therapies, because gene therapies are very expensive. The second risk will be the extension of anti-vaxxer sentiment to gene therapies, and that could create a problem for genomic companies. So these are the 2 risks that are currently present, and things can go pear-shaped for these 2 risks going forward unless there are some changes in perception. And there have been reports that have been emanating from China about Mycoplasma pneumonia. The chances of another pandemic in 2024 is higher than it was in 2021, in my opinion. Currently, wastewater data suggests that though we do not talk about COVID, it's still a significant health issue in 2023. Going into 2024, we may see a resurgence of COVID in some parts of the world and potentially a pandemic somewhere in 2024 or 2025. Of all the risks that we discussed, here are the possible impacts to retail investors. Number 1, oil production cuts or shipping disruptions can cause supply-side constraints and lead to inflation, and the Fed may not be able to cut interest rates and will have to issue hawkish statements. Currently, the markets are pricing in 6 rate cuts in 2024, while the Fed is talking of only 3 rate cuts. So any hawkish Fed statement can push the market down quickly, given that indices are at very high RSI and near all-time highs, and many stocks are at all-time highs and with a very overbought RSI. So that's one big risk. The second risk is a Trump presidency, which would mean that the rule of law would not be as reliable as believed, and that in turn reflects on property rights of individuals and companies, as well as ambiguity in interpreting the terms of engagement and adhering to established business convention, traditions, and practices. For example, this could mean that Trump could turn around and say that he's not going to abide by an international agreement of some sort. He has done that in the past. He can do it again. He can unilaterally withdraw from NATO, or he could unilaterally impose tariffs. So all those things can happen, and he can bring any kind of rules that he thinks that will help him cement his popularity. This can lead to 2 immediate impacts. First is the sovereign rating of US could be reduced, and the second is the valuation of US-based companies will be impacted. A downgrading of sovereign rating would lead to borrowing for the US becoming more expensive, and retail investors would face very high volatility in the market. Startup funding would dry up, and promising startups will have to conserve cash in order to survive until they are able to monetize. On the other hand, if Biden wins, it will be the meaning that a continuation of current policy will happen. Predictability as well as infrastructure building will take place. And also the current risks that we are perceiving in the US political environment will get mitigated to a certain extent. It will not be at the forefront, it will start to subside. And it will also strengthen the perception of NATO and its allies, and a change in the control of the House would enable better assistance to Ukraine and improve the ability of US to counter China and Russia. Well, friends, so that's my prognosis for 2023-2024. Please let me know what you think is the biggest geopolitical risk and the risk to the market in 2024. So that's all for now from me, and I'm wishing you all a very, very happy new year, and hope to see you again in 2024 and take the channel to new heights. Bye for now.